Hola creeps! Welcome back for another fun-filled venture video! Hope this week without him hasn't been too irksome for you. Maybe you had a chance to check out some of our podcasts or our stories or whatever, or maybe you took the whole week without me, cold turkey. I salute you for it. Well, little housekeeping first, just a little plug for tomorrow's episode of the podcast. I'm going to be talking about the Suspiria remake, and to be quite honest with you, there's not much I have to really say about it. So it's going to be kind of a little bit of catching up on a lot of the things that I've been watching lately. Namely, Haunting on Hill House, and I'll probably touch a little bit on the third season of Daredevil, too. So check it out, if that sounds interesting to you. But let's jump right into the nitty-gritty here. I promised last week that I was going to deliver some shit on the 6th season, and here I am doing it. I said that I'd probably start with all this in Gargantua 2, but when I rewatched it, I realized that that's pretty much the end of everything that had happened up to that point. So there's really no open plot threads at that point that really pertained too hard in Season 7, other than the fact that the Sovereign abandoned his position with the guild, and now we have our new council. But I thought that we could start off with the little epilogue that they technically didn't really give us at the end of all this in Gargantua 2, because I feel like this is definitely the point where things turn. Jonas has just died. I mean, that was pretty enormous, and this is where Jonas leaves his vast wealth to Rusty, and everything really does kind of just turn on its head. So let's start here with that epilogue at Jonas Venture Jr.'s solemn memorial service.
How do you say goodbye to a man like Jonas Venture Jr.? The way Chairman touched so many lives and packed so much living into his short time on terra firma. They say that
Probably not what JJ had in mind when he asked to be buried on this spot. Not that there was anything to bury.
Oh, stop. You didn't even know him.
I let you down.
Yeah, you did.
I know how much the little fellow meant to you, young Dean. And that is why, against my better judgment and at great personal risk, I decided to use all of my mystical powers to save him.
Still seeing spots. Anywho,
That was
where
Mr.
the chairman
Ricci, his
took in,
stuffed
I was
giraffe,
lost.
not
literally
Jonas.
lost at sea in the awful Sargasso. And whenever we lost a crew member, we'd send him off proper with an old pirate dirge.
This is my favorite part. By far.
Once there was this kid. He got into an accident and he couldn't come to school. When he finally came back,
His hair had turned from black into bright white.
What the hell? Is that the crash test dummies?
Oh, yeah.
Good God, you've got to be kidding me. What, was this one of JJ's last wishes too?
According to his last will and testament, I'm afraid so, yes.
Once there was this girl.
With a little accompaniment from Helper there.
Hey, come on, man. Show a little respect, huh? Not today.
We're not arching. I'm just taking on my rental car.
Sorry for your loss.
Hey, is it cool if we use your electric fence for a jump?
All right, make it quick.
It's just a bean there.
Oh, come on, really? I don't know what the hell you're singing about. Did you forget we're all homeless now?
Ah, you needn't worry about that, Dr. Venture. Your brother's will has made allotments.
Let me guess. He's regifting me Spider Skull Island?
No, I'm afraid Ms. Impossible gets the island as well as a rather generous inheritance.
Great. What's left? The boat?
Only the multi-billion-dollar Venture Techno Industries Corporation and its various subsidiaries and its brand new headquarters in New York.
Alright, so at that point, Rusty has passed out, and I'm actually going to continue this with the beginning of the premiere of Season 6, because it literally segues right into this with probably my favorite song from the Venture Bros to date. So, here we are with Rusty waking up from his unconsciousness.
Pop, are you okay? He fainted.
With his eyes open? Shock, probably. Poor little guy must have been overcome with grief. Why is he smiling like that?
Last will and testament?
Wakey, wakey, Mr. Venture. You're about to be a very rich man.
Needless to say, this song is a banger. Rusty's back.
Bet you already knew that. He's back and he's subtle as a heart attack. Trangadine coming up Fifth Avenue. Saturday, benches with attitude. The crib is ill, it'll put you in dementia. Now gather round and give a go team venture.
You're all fired. Now, to be completely honest with you, I know that was a little bit long-winded for something that you have already seen before, let alone heard. But I think that a lot of people kind of took for granted that is honestly the biggest turning point in the fucking Ventureverse to date, if you ask me. I mean, Brock quitting his bodyguard, 24 dying. I mean, I know there were a lot of things that really shifted the narrative here in the story, but I don't think there's really anything that's had like what else possibly could have had more impact than Rusty and the boys and Brock and Hatred moving to fucking New York. Think about it. A lot of people weren't too nuts about Season 6 from what I've seen, but honestly, I think that without Season 6, like, how would we have gotten any of the gravitas that they achieved from Season 7? It all relied on what they did in Season 6, and I think that's definitely why they did these two seasons back to back. Like, this new fucking New York story is completely different, but at the same time, it's taking all the best aspects of the Ventureverse and, like, ramping them up to fucking 11. And the best part is that it's all these characters running into such a brand new world, but with the same exact mentality. Because, I mean, Dean's a little different. Dean's able to evolve, adapt to his surroundings, but Hank and Rusty, I feel like, are just so fucking damaged that they really are never going to change. Like, Rusty coming into the boardroom and firing every single person that Jonas had handpicked to run the company for him. So that Rusty, so you can do all of the fucking work? It's fucking madness. I mean, what else could be more classically Rusty Venture than thinking he can do it all on his own? I mean, I know maybe it kind of seems like it seemed like a cop-out when we got it at that point, but it's just part of what makes this show so amazing, that we've had these characters crafted this delicately that they can't just... I mean, they uprooted him and brought him to a new locale, and that gave us completely different types of stories, but the characters are still the same. It's still these same characters reacting the same way that they would to these almost completely alien environments. We finally get to meet fucking Wide Whale, who is... My favorite villain used to be Monstroso, but after meeting Wide Whale has become my new favorite arch out of all of them in the Ventureverse, just because he doesn't fuck with the guild. He's in it for himself. Like, he has the fucking superheroes in his pocket. He has them pay up to him like fucking Don Chichi in Godfather 2. The guy that fucking Robert De Niro ends up killing, young Vito murders him because he won't pay up to him. I don't know if that's exactly what that character is based on, but I feel like from the fact that Dr. Z is so heavily based on Hyman Roth from Godfather Part 2 that it has to be a nod to Godfather 2, because I feel like they have so many Star Wars references, and I feel like I'm definitely missing a bunch of Godfather 2 references because it has to be a theme, like, with their Star Wars references. Maybe I can't pick up on them so readily. Other than Enzo, the man who runs the suit shop, another character that we only could have met in New York. And I think, honestly, the most amazing thing about this whole turn of events is the fact that, I mean, they always kind of, in these season finales, however they do them, because all this in Gargantua 2 was at the beginning of season 6, but in these finales, they always end up leaving them with less than they had before. Like, on Operation Prom Night. Dean loses Triana. Brock completely cuts ties with Molotov cocktease. And, I mean, it's kind of just a somber ending. Season 3, they lose all their clones, so there's no more backups. The boys die. The boys fucking die. The end of Season 2 was pretty nice with Monarch and Dr. Girlfriend getting back together. I do admit that. But, I mean, it was still a position of transitioning. And, I mean, if you ever have lived life, you know that transitioning is the hardest thing to ever do. And I mean, end of Season 1 takes the cake because it's literally the boys dying, and you don't know that they have clones, so you just think they're fucking dead. But, I mean, that's what I'm saying, is that the end of Season 5, or beginning of Season 6, saw them with something good finally happening to them, whether it was by hook or by fucking crook. Rusty is back on top, and I think, honestly, more, not even just cartoons, more shows that are stuck in a rut, like in the same spot, should change locales like this, because it really does make the story so much more colorful and interesting. Alright, well, I'm not gonna ramble on too long here, because I'm starting to run on a little bit long-winded here, like I was saying earlier, but I just wanted to give you a little introduction into this newly formed Ventureverse that we got at the beginning of Season 6, so you can get a flavor of the themes that I'm going to be touching on in later episodes, because the next one is going to be obviously be talking about Quiz Boy, Pete, and Saint Cloud, and how they got their way back into the Ventureverse after all this happened, because they're left kind of high and dry themselves. Alright, well, until next week, or unless you were enticed by me talking about the podcast tomorrow, and there's going to be a little special treat at the end of the podcast, so you might want to look out for that. And Storytime Friday. If you're not going to listen to those, then I'll see you next week for another fun-filled venture video. Till then, Doc out. Love you, creeps.